Thobela, abusheni, dumelang, sanbonani. Good evening. And thanks that you could beat the traffic and be with us here this evening. At this event, the reveal of the Gauteng Growth and Development Agency. And today, like all other interested parties in the country and everywhere else in the world, would like to know what the government of the Gauteng province intends to do with this Gauteng Growth and Development Agency. I, for one, am very curious to know who is Growth and Development Agency in the first place.
I am indeed honored to welcome you here this evening and look forward in helping you understand the question that the program director does pose to us now. Where we come from, what we do, why our work is important, and our plans for the future. GGDA was created out of a merger of two agencies on the 1st of June 2011. These were erstwhile GEDA as well as Blue IQ. The work of GGDA is based on 4 integral pillars. We provide thought leadership by informing the Gauteng Economic Development Agenda. We promote responsible and sustainable investment in Gauteng. We also ensure that we engage different stakeholders in the development of various sectors within the private sector in participating in the economy. But we also facilitate access of incentives for various companies who want incentive to invest in foreign countries, as well as partner with local companies which come outside of South Africa or Gauteng. In identifying and facilitating strategic economic infrastructure through what was the former Blue IQ is what we do. Now, moving forward, this GGDA will be actively driving the course of positioning this province, Gauteng, as the gateway to Africa into growing the manufacturing sector and ensuring that this economy is taken to the higher levels. Currently, what is it that we're doing to do that? We are working on a selection of carefully selected and researched viable projects, among them the automotive sector, which will receive a massive boost in terms of the establishment of a new center at the Nissan factory. That factory will have an incubator and simulation facility, which will train a number of people for us to gain the growth that we have realized in the automotive sector. We will also be extending our successful clustering model of partnering with aviation industry, which is already a project initiated by the Department of Trade and Industry called the Centurion Aviation Village. In increasing our heritage site offering, which is where we are, we will be putting up a structure here, which is called the Nelson Mandela Center of Memory. The Innovation Hub has pioneered a number of inventive ways for Gauteng to embrace a green economy, and in doing that, we will be putting in a bioscience park, which will ensure that we put all these companies there to develop them further in the green space. All of us have seen recently in the press the price of energy, and therefore Gauteng, if it wants to be competitive in the international world, it needs to make sure that it looks into alternative energy, which we commonly refer to as awesome. We will be facilitating projects whereby we look at how our 3 metros, which are key in waste, combined can make sure that we create an alternative waste to energy that can be generated to drive this economy. Ladies and gentlemen, if I have to put it simply in terms of what we are business enablers. In order for us to enable the province to leverage significant investment, it is important that the GGDA establishes a one-stop center. The cost of business is too high, and therefore we are serious about being this gateway and ensuring that every investor who comes to Gauteng receives the facilities. It is only by working together that we can ensure that this vision that I've elaborated can be realized. Thank you very much.
The European Union sees very clearly the challenges of poverty, of inequality, and certainly very relevant for today's gathering, unemployment. But in the meantime, of course, we continue to stimulate our companies to invest in South Africa, and we are quite proud that our trade relationship contributes in such a direct way to job creation and prosperity here in South Africa. It is not only on trade, it is not only on political development on the continent. South Africa is now for the European Union also a global partner in the framework of the UN, in the framework of climate change, in the framework of multilateral work on air traffic, on shipping, and on all the links that exist between our countries.
Now there is this broad vision which will take this country beyond 2030, and I'm quite confident that as the recovery takes place in the EU, we're mindful of the situation in Greece, the dynamics with the euro, for instance, in Germany, and all those global dynamics. But hopefully, with the implementation and acceleration of that vision 2030, I think South Africa, hopefully the continent, will also be in a better footing when the European communities and also the global economy find a particular shape.
It's really strong fiscal policy that allows a stable and vibrant banking industry, a stable and vibrant trade, customs, free trade policies that really start that whole process of deciding what is a good country to invest in.
And every time that motivation to invest is on, you're basically competing with Thailand, India, Mexico, and many sites around the world. And if you're not competitive relative to those, you do not get the allocation that you need to be able to survive.
Our task as ambassadors here is not to make ourselves investment decisions, but we talk to a lot of visiting missions of companies, but also of government agencies. The fact that certain costs are high, like electricity, that maybe labor costs go up, definitely do play a role, but they can be factored in, people say to me. When it comes to South African investment on the continent, there is a lot in consumer goods, there is a lot in shopping chains and so on. But if we look at the huge investments that are now going on, for instance in Mozambique, in Malawi and in other countries, in long-term energy, in long-term production, then South Africa is not as present as I would have expected.
What I'm really looking forward to in the future is to enable more suppliers to come to South Africa. And so the more that the government can do to help ease the entry of global and regional companies into establishing manufacturing facilities in South Africa, it'll help offset that logistics disadvantage we have and help us be more competitive globally.
Okay. I think Africa is seen as a very high potential from a growth perspective. We're in the preparation now for presentations at the Alliance Board between Renault, Nissan and Nissan for where are our next steps into Africa. And there's significant focus there. So from any assistance to be able to open those doors. Areas like being able to get financing into a lot of the African countries for the man in the street to be able to purchase vehicles. That immediately will unlock enormous opportunities within the African continent.
And if you think about the investments that we've made in South Africa as manufacturers, to have access, free trade access to that huge number of customers and countries would only serve to cement the resolve of Ford to continue to manufacture in South Africa.
South Africa can play an extremely important role on the continent, but when it comes to trade and investments, we have to be pragmatic, we have to look forward, and we have to realize always that it is an extremely important tool to reduce unemployment, poverty and inequality.
The official launch of the GGDA is a milestone for the Gauteng Department for Economic Development. It is an important step towards achieving our strategic objectives, which include, amongst others, the development of strategic economic infrastructure for employment-led growth and development. Without any shred of doubt, Gauteng remains the premier investment and trade destination in our country. It is indeed the main door for investment. It starts here and it happens here. And I'm certain that you will concur with our sentiment that the consequences of poverty, inequality, and unemployment pose a significant threat to the stability of our country. There is no way that we are going to teach a hungry stomach to be peaceful, to be reasonable. We have to do something about that. And the only way is to respond to the dire needs of those people who are there in the street. The reality of a growing demand for jobs, housing, and social services points to a need to accelerate inclusive economic growth and sustainable employment creation in this province. And this is a challenge that the GGDA has to grab with both hands. And the GGDA as a public entity must occupy its space as a thought leader on trade and investment issues in this province. The GGDA must be able to demonstrate, both from theory and practical experience, how the high and continuously rising price of electricity stifles our competitiveness. Standing here, I can say that I have received a number of representations and submissions from the companies, including from trade unions, who come to tell me that Eskom's obsession with tariff increases is truly and simply not sustainable. So we also expect the GGDA to move with speed in establishing the Gauteng Investment Center, which will provide prospective investors in Gauteng with seamless and hassle-free experience. That one-stop shop, which is going to be the main door for investment into this province. It must be easy to do business in Gauteng province. The public entities like the GGDA must avoid falling into the trap of thinking that their work is distant and unrelated from the daily challenges confronting the poor and marginalized in this country. But I must conclude by wishing the GGDA well in its endeavors to entrench Gauteng's position as the country's largest economy, a destination of choice for investment, and the principal gateway to the African continent. Thank you.
The merger of two Gauteng provincial agencies, GEDA and Blue IQ. Their strong foundation pillars and history of success changed the face of Gauteng and unlocked Gauteng's potential through powerful initiatives and meaningful partnerships and investments. They have had significant impact and long-term economic sustainability. An innovative Gauteng. GEDA and Blue IQ merging together as an implementation arm of the Gauteng Department of Economic Development to maximize effect and improve efficiencies, to achieve greater synergy and delivery, to lead, facilitate and manage sustainable job creation and inclusive economic growth and development. The Gauteng Growth and Development Agency facilitates and drives trade and investment, continuing to invest in strategic economic infrastructure and job creation, leveraging our natural resource strengths to ensure long-term sustainability of the Gauteng city region, and ensuring our approach is environmentally friendly and collectively we drive the green agenda. Gauteng Growth and Development Agency, positioning Gauteng as a leading global city region. Your investment facilitator and gateway into Africa.